Welcome back to our city. I'm pleased to be joined by Mr. Jason Kalinsky here, talking about Financial Planning Day here in our city. And Jason, what should you started talking about it, what should the attendees bring? Anything, or just come, if they have any documents, should they bring anything?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I think it's best if you come prepared with something. So if you have specific questions that you want to ask, it makes the best use of our time, because I believe, a lot of times I think what ends up happening is, they want us to sit with as many people as we can because there's a lot of people who attend. So we only may have 15, 20 minutes to sit with you. We can try to, if we need more time, speak with you later on in the day. But if you come prepared, it makes it best for everybody.
What's prepared? A mortgage, a financial statement, paychecks?
Instance, right. So let's say somebody had a question about a mortgage. That's perfect. They want to talk about maybe refinancing or just knowing more about it, fixed rate versus variable, whatever the question may be. They could bring us a copy of their statement that they get from the mortgage banker, just with the basic information on it. If they want us to take a look at their 401k, let's say they have an employer 401k and they want us to look at the investments and how they're invested and maybe talk about making changes or just have someone look at it. Bring a statement of, your quarterly statement or monthly statement that you get. Whatever it may be, it usually is helpful to us.
Now, is there a place that residents can find a complete list of helpful tools and
yes, absolutely. So
resources?
So you can go to www.financialplanningdays.org/Elizabeth, and it'll take you directly to the Elizabeth Day, and I believe there's a list of some helpful things you can bring, or kind of just ideas as to what you can do to make it best when you come to the day. So it's www.financialplanningdays.org/Elizabeth, and you can also go there to register.
Well, speaking of how you can register there, but can you register on site? How else can you get into this?
So I believe you can register on site. So if you don't have a chance to go to the website prior, that's fine. If you can, I think that's the best way to do it. Make sure you can go online, put your name and information in so that we know you're coming. We can expect to see you. But of course, if you can't do that and you just show up that day, we're more than happy to.
When and where is this event being held?
So it's being held, it's on October 26th. It's going to be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and it's at the Elizabeth branch of the YMCA of Eastern Union County at 135 Madison Avenue in Elizabeth.
Is there a fee to get into this?
No, it's completely free. There's no fee whatsoever, which I think is one of the nice things about it, is that there's no fee to sit with us and talk. There's no fee to attend. It's purely for the citizens.
So, any interesting stories you may have had during your financial days in the past? Without mentioning any names,
sure.
Actually, is there any interesting questions that you may be able to share?
I just had some of them were really about people who were questioning whether or not they were behind on their mortgage and the house that they owned was a little undervalued. So they were just questioning, what their options are really. So, we were able to kind of help them out with that. I had one particular individual who actually owned a rental property as an investment, and she was asking me questions about, she had tenants in that property that weren't paying, and she wanted to know, what her rights are and what she could do. And it was just interesting because it wasn't really a typical item that I deal with, talking about, rental properties and people not being able to pay their rent. So I kind of just gave her a little bit of advice as to, legally what I thought that she should check into and that kind of thing.
Throw the tenant out.
Well, yes, try to, but, sometimes I guess you want to be careful as to how you do it.
I was just going to say, that they probably had this tenant for 10 years, and maybe the tenant should have been at Financial Planning Day.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Because otherwise... maybe they could learn how to start paying the rent.
Right.
That's a good question. The owner now, what happens if they relied on that rent for?
Well, that's the thing. So she worked. She had a job, but this was a big part of her income. So she was now, in a situation where she wasn't making the money that she was used to, and kind of now it's like, well, what do I do? Because I believe what happened was they weren't paying the full rent. They were paying a little bit. So to her,
they were taking your advice. Pay the credit card.
Right, exactly.
So
she said, well, if I throw them out, then I'm not getting anything. So what do I do? Maybe it's better off to just let them stay for a while until they can pay the full rent. So it was kind of like we were just going back and forth with some ideas as to how she can handle it.
This event, comparing it to similar events in different areas, are they all relatively the same? Are there difference, or what goes on?
I think it's fairly generic. So I think whatever town, Elizabeth, Newark, or whatever other towns in the area that are having the days, I think the setup is kind of the same. The citizen comes in, they get signed in, and then they're immediately brought to I think last year we were in a library, and there's planners sitting down, and they can just go and sit down with whoever they choose to do, and then at the same time we have our group settings going on, and there's the booth set up. So I think it's pretty It's pretty
So
much
there's
the
more
same.
than one financial planner at these events.
Oh, absolutely. Last year there was I think there was almost 15, 20 of us. Yeah.
Okay.
It was great. All different backgrounds, young. I was probably the youngest there. There were some older people, there was women, there was men, so there was all sorts of different kinds of planners.
Do you like all know each other through an association or not really?
Some of the planners I know, because it is a small world. So I do know them. Like I'm a member of the Financial Planning Association, which is one of the associations that helps put this together. So I did know some people there that were also FPA members that we see each other at events that we go to. But some of the planners were just people I've never met before.
Okay, and what is, if you could structure this, what do you think you would tell people? I mean, I know the government structures it and the U.S. Conference of Mayors structures it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you think this can be run better in any way, shape, or form, these events?
That's a good question. I think it's run pretty well. I think that for the most part, I mean, everybody I spoke to was absolutely grateful to be able to sit down with us and speak. Maybe if we could give a little background of ourselves, maybe put together little profiles that the person can read up. Because I think what happens is people, they may walk in and they don't necessarily know which planner they want to sit down with. And although, like for instance, I'm a CFP, well, not all planners there are CFPs. They may have different designations. So it may be a good idea if we had little profiles the person can read up on and say, you know what, this seems like someone that I can, talk to and chat with that I think I'd get along with. Maybe that would be helpful.
Yeah, and does anybody call you for follow-up after these, or
So it's kind of
I know
it's a little strict.
Right.
So the way it works is so I won't ask them have me follow up with you. If the person says can I follow up with you, I'd say absolutely, that's not a problem. I don't offer to give the business card, but if they say may I have a business card, I'll give them a card. I think last year what we did is our names were in a list. We had our names on it and a phone number, and we were able to kind of, or not the phone number, but our names. We circle our names, and I said, if you like, you can look me up on the internet. You can contact me, if you do have follow-up questions.
So how do you find this business? Challenging, not challenging, especially in a difficult economic time? Not a lot of
Sure.
people are looking to get out of trouble as opposed to people looking to invest a lot of money.
Right. I thoroughly enjoy the business. I mean, at the end of the day, I love helping people, and I think finances is a major topic. And a lot of times, listen, people are very busy. I mean, we work 9 to 5. You have children, you're bringing them to school, just so many things going on. What happens is your finances sometimes take a backdoor, seat, and you don't really put the time into it that you probably should. So I think what I get out of it is when I can sit down with somebody and I'm able to really talk with them and get a plan together. Sit down and go over short-term goals, long-term goals. Look at everything they got going on financially, and we're able to put it all together into like a mapped out plan. The reaction you get from people, I mean, they're just so thankful because it's like, wow, I really haven't had the chance to put this all together. So, sometimes, yes, you'll have clients who are very wealthy and they're great to work with, but you also have clients who aren't as wealthy and they're also great to work with because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help whatever the situation is. So the business is challenging.
So do you break it down into how many times you can get your nails done, or how many times you can get a haircut done a month,
Right.
or how many times you can go grocery shop? Do you break it down that finite?
You
Or
can,
you can
absolutely.
Or you just say this is your discretionary spending and be done with it.
We definitely can break it down. Sometimes it depends on the individual. I mean, some people really do want that broken down. And what we'll do is we'll look at the budget and we'll look at their discretionary spending, their non-discretionary spending, and the stuff that they have to pay. Right? They have to pay their mortgage, they have to pay taxes, they have to pay electricity, those kind of things. I map it out for them so I could say, hey, listen, let's make sure we're making enough money to pay for these non-discretionary bills here. But then let's take a look at what you're freely spending, right? So getting the nails done. Well, if it looks like they're going shopping, for instance, and they're spending way more money than they really need to be, we can make some suggestions to them, hey, listen, maybe you need to save some money here, and try to kind of put together a plan for them. Because people really don't realize it, until you actually lay it out in front of them and they say, wow, this is where I'm really spending my money.
This is what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
So I really want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show. Is there
Sure.
anything you'd like to add, or I think you covered mostly everything here?
No, absolutely. I mean, I just want to say again, it's on October 26th. It's going to be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's at the Elizabeth branch of the YMCA of Eastern Union County, and that's located at 135 Madison Avenue in Elizabeth. And if you'd like to pre-register, it's www.financialplanningdays.org/Elizabeth.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to join us on the show, Jason.
Sure.
And look forward to seeing you that day.
My pleasure.
For Jason Kalinsky, I'm Chris Bolwage, and we'll see you next week on another edition of Our City.